Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United travelling to the Emirates in the Premier League. Joining me for the preview is Mr. Ronaldo Brown. Ronny, you hate Arsenal, don't you, son?
I was about to swear, but I ain't trying to demonetize.
Try not to swear in the first. You know the drill.
Do you know what I mean? But I hate them. Listen, I despise Arsenal, man. I despise Arsenal.
Is it a generational thing?
I despise Arteta.
Yeah, I know a few people your age that hate Arsenal almost as much, if not more so than hate. I'm talking about United fans, obviously, Liverpool or City or Leeds. Do you think it is an age thing, or is it just your personal thing on socials, or what is it about Arsenal that you dislike so much? It might be
an age thing. Usually, the hatred from United fans for Arsenal comes from what they call "quote unquote" Peckham Reds, don't they? Where they're around more Arsenal fans living down south, etc., rather than up here, but. I just feel like it's the last 5 years or even longer, they've just been a little bit of such a cringe football team, and just Arteta as well is just so jarring and unlikable, even though I do think he actually is a good gaffer. And then you've got even the way their players carry on, their fans are so extremely deluded and irritating. I think it might be a social media thing as well. But I'm surprised because there was even, obviously, back in the Keown Lauren days or whatever, they had a couple of bust-up kind of strong rivalries back in the early noughts, though. I'm surprised.
There was a rivalry. You've got to remember, between 1996 and 2004, I want to say, the only two teams that won the Premier League were Arsenal and United. Yeah. That was a real football rivalry in terms of title races and back and forth. And they obviously won the double, we won the treble. They won the league, we won the league, they won the league, we won 3 in a row. You know what I mean? It went back and forth, and we were more dominant. Yeah. But there was real humdingers of games, you know, like the game at Ivory where it all kicked off, the game at Old Trafford where it all kicked off.
Yes, there was a lot of that.
It was a football thing rather than a historic or a fan thing. It felt
Ruud van
Nistelrooy, Mike Keown, Roy Keane, and chasing after Patrick Vieira, who ran off down the tunnel, like all that kind of stuff. Whereas now it feels like it's more online. I think you call it the social media derby, I've called it the internet derby. Yeah, it feels like for online stuff, online arguments, whatever, this is the sort of go-to game because you've got two of the biggest fan bases. Arsenal are probably the loudest fans online. I wouldn't say there's more of them, but they're certainly one of the most loudest fan bases. So it does all sort of feel like there's a real rivalry there.
I do reckon I hate Arsenal more than I hate City.
That's good. That's an achievement, that, because for me, it's... I don't know if it's because Arsenal... Probably Liverpool, City, then Leeds, but Leeds, I do hate them. It's just they're not as prominent in my thoughts as City are recently. Yeah. Let's talk about the game itself and the statement I think we've got as one of the topics here. This is a chance for Michael Carrick to really do something here. He's already done it with the first game against Manchester City. Not just a win, but a comfortable win, a fantastic performance, and one where he's getting a lot of praise, and rightly so. If he can follow that up with something against Arsenal, because there's already caveats for the City game. Well, City lost to Bodo Glimt, City weren't great, City had a load of injuries, the makeshift defence and all the rest of it. If you go to the Emirates and play well and get something out of the game, that is a huge statement for Michael Carrick.
I know people were very desperate to downplay the victory against Manchester City, saying that they had a lot of defenders out. I think this was a lot from the people that were upset that Amrim left. And then you also have... Then you also had the...
which is weird, by the way. Some of the stuff I saw was so odd.
So, and then the Bodo Glimt result kind of gave him that extra ammunition to be like, see, haha, it wasn't that good of a result, but I don't care. I'm looking at the result in isolation and the way we played, and I thought we were great.
I agree.
I thought the club and the team and the manager needed a lot of credit for that. And people are forgetting that City, before they lost to us, hadn't lost in 13 matches. I think people have... brushing over that as well. It was the first time they had lost in 13 games, was against us. So it wasn't like they were like shit in the bed week in, week out before they played us anyway. But you are right, it's about how you follow up a result like that to make sure that it's not just a flash in the pan, and there is no bigger game right now in the Premier League than, in terms of its difficulty, than away at Emirates against the league leaders, who I don't think they've lost there since like last February or something stupid. They are extremely difficult to beat, and this is a massive test. And this would be an even bigger statement than the City game would be, for sure. And first 2 games in a tenure, if you get a result against the top 2 teams in the league, especially a team that almost looks impenetrable sometimes with how good they can be defensively, and especially how hard they are to beat at their home ground, it'll be a massive result. And I don't think we've obviously not done the greatest there in recent times. I know we did get we knocked them out the FA Cup last year. Obviously, it was a draw and we beat them on pens. But it'd be a massive victory for us. And I think we owe them one because I still think Garnacho was onside. So I agree. I sound like Carrick Ten Hag, innit?
No, I think it's one of them. Like, you can look at have looks at that, and you can't tell. And I feel it's the same one with the Mount goal the other day. I think that you can't tell, and it should have been given as a goal. If you can't tell, give it as a goal, but obviously didn't. A big part of Arsenal's success this season has been from set pieces. And to be fair, I don't usually say this most seasons, but United have had a lot of success with set pieces. How important do you feel set pieces could be in this game? Because both clubs, both teams are capable of getting goals from set pieces and have done so almost regularly.
Yeah, for sure. They're huge, especially with Arsenal, and when they've got Gabriel back. A lot of people kind of downplay the fact that they've just become extra reliant on it. I think there's a little bit of truth in it. But I think the quality of their delivery from Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice gets downplayed. I think there's a lot of moving parts to be as good at set pieces as they are. And fair play to them for being so good at executing it, because I know in Premier League football, especially when you're trying to win the big things, it's all about squeezing those margins a little bit. And I think the way that they break open matches when they're struggling outfield, because one thing that they have been quite poor at outside of one season, I think it was 22-23 season where Arsenal were quite good and electric going forward. Outside of that, they can be a little bit robotic in the way they attack under Arteta. And I think the way that they've almost tried to counter that is being able to break open games or squeeze results by nodding in a corner or a direct free kick or something like that. And that's something that would be extremely jarring to lose in that manner against them. But they are a big, powerful team, and they've got good delivery from Saka and Declan Rice on these corners, and they make good use of it. And we've actually been better this season as well. But it is definitely a point of concern for me, because I think we are good enough defensively if we play with the same intensity that we did against City to keep them out in open play, especially with the way that they can sometimes struggle going forward. But it'll just be a massive sucker punch. And I think when they score from set pieces, it deflates teams a lot of the time. Yeah, I think because everyone expects it and knows it's a point of emphasis, that when they whip one in and Gabriel climbs over everyone and bullet heads in, it's almost like a massive...
Like, you knew that was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen, but we couldn't stop it. It's really annoying. It's so deflating. I hear that. And they do it, not all the time, but they've got the ability to do it late on in games as well, almost wear you down, where you sort of feel like you might have got something out of this, and it's like, yes, we've done it. And then they can, as they've done to United in the past, get out those sort of late goals that really, really knock the wind out of your sails. Let's talk about predicted 11s then, because we're in this sort of rare position where the last performance was great. Michael Carrick made a few changes from what we've seen under Darren Fletcher, even more so for what we've seen under Ruben Amorim. So there's a few questions there, like some of the players that missed out, like Sesko and Cunha, is going to bring them back. Is he going to stick to winning ways, or the winning team, I should say? I'll start with you, Ronny. Talk us through your team there, because I think up until we get to the attack, if you want to say the front four, you've gone with... Oh, no, sorry, forgive me. So you're bringing in Mazraoui for your boy Delo. Your boy Delo, man. Delo, who was getting praised by Michael Carrick today, by the way. He was getting praised in his press conference, who said, you know what, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, he's my guy. And you're saying, no. Talk to me.
You know it was hard for me to leave him out.
Look at you, selling your stocks in Delo.
I have a sweet spot that annoys everyone for Delo.
You do?
Do you know what I mean? But
you my better half for the card-carrying members of the Delo fan club.
I think it's a blind spot more so I think I've got, because honest to God, I think the first 45 minutes from Delo against Man City angered me so much that I had to take him out of the team. I'm not going to lie to you.
Took him out of the predicted 11 for the Arsenal game, like that's it. Yeah. Mental note. Not happening.
And I'm actually intrigued because Mazraoui, unfortunately, because of the way the last 14 months has gone, hasn't been able to play in the position that he played so well in when he first arrived at Manchester United, which is playing as a traditional fullback in a back four, and how good he was. I think people have often forgot that. Obviously, he's had to be a right centre half and a right wing back, and it's kind of changed the way he's been platformed, and he hasn't performed quite as well as he did. And by all accounts, he was excellent in AFCON as well, in that position. So I think Mazraoui coming back in would be an easy choice to make if he's fit enough. To take the lower a little bit out of the firing line. I've got Maguire and Martinez as the centre halves just because they played so well against City. But I've took Shaw out and I've put Dorgu left back because, as you see, I've got Mainu, Casemiro with Bruno, Ahmad and Bouma, and I've brought Sesko in because I know a lot of people will be like, you can't change a winning team.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a lot of credence in that. But at the same time, you can't be like, you can't be too... Not every match is the same.
Okay.
You get me, Jay?
Yeah, of course I do. I understand where you're coming from.
The threats and the test that Arsenal give you isn't the same as what City will give you. So sometimes you got to make adjustments in personnel accordingly. You can't just be like... You can't solely think, this is the winning team, so I'm going to repeat it. And I also feel like you need that extra little bit of attacking threat to avoid City, not to kind of make Arsenal a little bit more honest in terms of the way that they have to defend, because they play Arsenal play the highest line in the league, by the way, and they're very, very strong 1v1 defensively in the back line with the likes of Saliba and Gabriel, and that when you do transition, and they rely on that a lot. So if they snuff you out consistently and you can't get out, and you don't have enough threat to kind of keep them honest and to make them probably sit that 5 yard deeper than they would do, I don't want us to be kind of penned in our own half the whole time. And I do believe Sesko, with his added height and power, will be important in terms of in the penalty area. Okay. In terms of being a box threat and a focal point for us, but also helping us defend set pieces. Because if you take Sesko out of that lineup, just in theory, and you put Shaw left back, and then you put Dorgu left back.
Left wing.
Left wing.
Yeah. Or left attack, whatever you want to call it.
Think about how much smaller in terms of physical presence the team feels, especially when we are going to be defending set pieces against them. I feel like you've only Maguire and Casemiro, your best headers of the ball in that. And I'd actually be concerned about how we'll be able to defend set pieces after the case. Because it's all well and good starting the same team. Fair enough. Dorgu was exceptional left winger, and he's great defensively. You get extra kind of solidity there. But at the same time, I'm just kind of concerned about we could look decent and threatening open play. They get a set piece. We'll only really have two headers of the ball in the team in terms of Maguire and Casemiro. And then they score off a set piece and then you're back to square one.
I do hear you. Yeah. Go to my team. Mine seems sort of different. The Mazraoui thing I did consider. I like Mazraoui. I think I still think he's a little bit underrated, Nusayr Mazraoui. And I thought you saw that in the AFCON. When he went to the AFCON, it was almost like everyone was going on about, we're losing Amad and Mbumo. And then Mazraoui was like forgot about, and I didn't get it because he's a very good player for Manchester United and a player we need. So I understand why you brought him in. I just think for this, it is predicted. I think the manager won't bring him in yet. I think the nature of Morocco's defeat in that final as well, very, very deflating, very emotional, very sort of odd, for want of a better expression. He played a lot of football. I know he's had a full week to recover, but I just think the manager might look at it and go, there's a lot that's happened there. This is probably a game too soon for you. I'm going to give it another week, even though it is an important game and against a team where you'd want to have your best 11. Plus the fact he's backed the low in his press conference, if he was asked about him, he wasn't hardly going to say, no, he's rubbish. But I just think he might stick with him.
Another thing is Luke Shaw's not played too well against Saka in the past. Is another thing that was
maybe there's something that comes into that. Yeah. I do hear that, but I still think he's going to stick with this same team. I understand your thoughts on Sesko up against Gabriel and Saliba. Joe was making a point the other day, and I was sort of I agreed with him. He sort of thought, Sesko can ask questions though, but he feels like that might be a battle they revel in a little bit. Saliba or Gabriel.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that, thinking Sesko's a more the type of striker that actually Gabriel would like playing against, someone physical to get in a bit of a battle with. But
I think with Dorgu, Bruno, Amad and Mbumo, there's that sort of almost unknown element to them as well in there. They can play very off the cuff, and it can be a little bit difficult. They just don't have the height. That's the one thing I agree with. You can't deny that. Height does come into it. And if Michael Carrick was to go full Jose and go, right, who's my tallest? It's all about set pieces. Where's Marouane? Get him in. Then he's probably going to stick Benjamin Sesko in there. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know what you think. Before you do, though, as well, don't forget.
You proper is on Jay, struggling with.
We're going to edit round that. We're going to edit
we're not.
That.
We aren't. We're not editing.
Right, leave it in. Right? Yes. We want your predicted 11s for the Arsenal game. So film yourself on your phone, 30 seconds, and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and you will be part of our pre-match build-up for the watch-along where you can join me, Ronny, and Joseph. Right, there you go. That was proper, dad using the phone tackle. Yeah. Let's talk about Arsenal then, your favourite team. I mean, they're flying, aren't they? They are doing well. They're very, very difficult to break down. They score goals. They sort of mix it up some of the goals they score as well. They're not overly reliant on one goal scorer, which sometimes can be a bit of a hindrance to certain teams. And it does feel like this is their time. They've been second, last 3 seasons. And you do see little improvements. You were talking about it earlier. You see the way they've improved. I noticed it in Europe. They seem to have kicked on a little bit in Europe. Last season, I think they got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, which is quite a rarity for them. So you do see this as a team that's constantly moving forward. If not getting to that title win yet, they are sort of edging towards it, it does feel. How sort of worried are you? You look at the recent results there, just bring that up. They're on a 12-game unbeaten run in all competitions and a 7-game unbeaten run in the league. And that has had a lot of wins in it. I think it's 6 of the last 7 games they've won. I mean, it's not easy, is it, when you look at them stats?
No, it sounds tough to say, especially for me, but they've got a shout at being the best team in Europe.
No, I think most. Right I don't think that's. I think most years, if you're the best team in the Premier League, you've the shout of being the best team in Europe.
And PSG, they are top of the Champions League as well. So we can't understate how difficult this is going to be. But I think sometimes runs are there to be broken, and it could be us. United have specialised, especially against big teams, in being a little bit of the party poopers and performing when we're not really expected to. So I'm hoping that we can turn up, because Arsenal obviously a very strong side. And it's their strength in depth that's actually gotten incredibly good this year as well. So I'm just going to hope that they start Gyökeres up front, because it's like playing with 10.5 men when I've watched him when he does that. Famous last words before. But
you know what?
Yeah, listen, we know how good they are. I feel like everyone watching knows as well. But I think it's one of them where United actually have to go there with the belief that they can get a result and can get a win. Because I think sometimes that can be half the battle. You need to be walking out onto the Emirates pitch if you are a player, and Carrick's got to kind of galvanise them and give them the belief that they can get a result too. But for me, I'm actually not confident. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I feel like I'm getting excited to watch Manchester United games again. But I actually feel like we can leave the Emirates with something.
Victor Gyökeres, I know you sort of criticise him. I don't rate Victor Gyökeres, to be honest with you. When I've watched him, he's been poor. I thought he was poor at Old Trafford. I think he's been poor elsewhere. He has got 5 goals, though, so he can get goals, even though he's not setting the world alight. I think Trossard has got 5 goals as well, so he's another one you've got to sort of keep an eye on. Declan Rice, I think, has got 4 goals. They have sort of spreaded goals out amongst that team, haven't they? They're not over-relying on one player. And even someone like Gyökeres, who's been pretty rubbish, is capable of getting a goal.
He's capable of getting a goal. You would hope that you were capable of scoring if you are the striker for one of the best teams in Europe, but where you're constantly penning teams in and creating opportunities. But yeah, Gyökeres 5 goals in the league, but he's struggled. 5 goals in 21. 2 of those have been from the penalty spot. He's scored against Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid. It shows that he's a type of player that his strengths are better when he's in Europe, not against Premier League opposition with more physicality, and the game state's been a little bit different. But I think the threat for me is always Saka, who hasn't really scored and assisted as much as he would like to. But I always feel like he's probably one of their main threats for me. But you are right; they've strengthened in terms of their strength in depth. It's probably as strong as it's ever been. So even if they have 65 minutes of frustration, they do have players that are able to change the match when they do come on. And I think that's probably where they pip us as well, in terms of the depth they have on the bench. But they are well-rounded. They've got goals from all over. Their defenders can score from set pieces. Their midfielders can chip in. And their attackers spread the wealth a little bit as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of what you said there is true. Well, all of it's true, to be honest with you. I don't know, man. Just got a feeling, like you said, records end eventually, don't they? Do you know what I mean? I've got a funny feeling. We'll get to my predicted score in a minute. What's yours? Give us your score prediction. With all that being said, what do you think the score's going to be at the Emirates?
I slightly think it's going to be a score draw.
Okay.
I believe it's going to be 1-1.
That would be a good result. I mean, I know you don't know the context. We might be winning 1-0 to the 95th minute, which wouldn't be great. But right now, sitting here, a draw at the Emirates would be a good result, especially coming off the back of a win against City. The first 2 games of City and Arsenal, you've not been beaten in either of them, would be very good for Michael Carrick. Do you know what? You talk a lot of sense, Ronny. You do. And I kind of agree with you, but I just got a funny feeling. Something's happening under Michael Carrick. You know?
Listen, if we win, I'll be so shameless. We're going to be here on Sunday anyway.
We're going to be here for a watch along, right? And I've got a feeling I'm going to be watching a Manchester United win. I think we're going to do him. I do. I'm going to go 2-1 United. I think we'll do him. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Do you agree with Ronny? Do you think it's going to be a draw? Do you agree with me? Do you think United will win? Do you think we might lose? Do you think we might batter him? What do you think? Don't forget as well to send us your score predictions to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Also, my boy here has got a channel, yeah? Doing bits on his channel. Yeah? Go and check it out. What's the name of your channel?
It's just my name, you know, Ronaldo Brown. I didn't really...
You know what? I've seen someone tweet.
Imagination barrier.
Someone was tweeting you the other day, and I almost got involved. Don't really get involved in Twitter arguments anymore. And they went, "This guy even calls himself Ronaldo," or something like to words to that effect. And someone replied like, "Yeah, that's his name." Like Ronaldo.
I get it
Brown.
often.
Yeah, it is his name. It's the name of his channel. There's a link in the description.
You think it's an alias?
Go and check it out. Don't forget as well, check out the merchandise. There's a link in the description for that. We're going to be back for the watch along on Sunday. It's going to be me, it's going to be Ronny, it's going to be Joseph. I think Tom's going to join us as well. So we're going to have a gang here, so make sure you join us for that. That's been Ronny, I've been Jay. This has been a preview. Manchester United travelling to the Emirates. Thanks for watching.